Okay, good morning, everyone. I am going to go ahead and jump right into our 45 minutes of power. Okay. I know that you are slowly logging in. We have testing today. There is a lot going on this week. And last week, you guys did not even tell me that the sound was horrible. I know I was tearing your ears up. Okay. So if we're ever live or we're doing this and the sound needs to be fixed, please let me know. As a matter of fact, let me know if you can hear me right now. Okay. Can you hear me now? Just give me a thumbs up. Want to make sure you can hear me out here. Just give me a thumbs up. Okay, so today we are going to let's first review what we talked about last week, and then I'm going to hop right into what we need to talk about this week. Okay. So last week, we talked about the overview of your instructional leader's calendar. We talked about how it is so super important for you to be sound in the skill of being able to lead instructionally. Now, I talked about how if your campus, maybe you're a blue ribbon campus, maybe that's, your campus is well off, okay? And if that's the case, thank you, Mr. Balan. If that's the case, then hey, I am so glad that you have the opportunity to be assigned to a school that is pretty much operating on its own. However, if you are assigned to a school that requires instructional leadership or a school that is high needs, you need to be well versed in the area of instructional leadership. I've done so many webinars and visited conferences, keynote for conferences and different things. They always ask me, what type of leadership do you feel is important? And I always tell them instructional leadership. And why do I say that? Instructional leadership consists of and listen, I say this so much. My husband, who is an engineer, is now saying this. Okay. Instructional leadership consists of it's the person or persons that is leading and they are able to tap into their cultural, operational, and curriculum and instructional prowess in order to lead a campus. Okay. You have to have all three. And I get people saying, well, what if you're only good in operations? Which is the case for many campuses, right? We have lots of campuses that have leaders that are only good in operations. And so they're not able to effectively communicate the instructional direction that we need to go in. Or sometimes they're not able to organize and structure their campus in a way that will give us student achievement, right? So you have to be strong in all of those. And if you're not strong in operations, culture, and CNI, curriculum and instruction, then you need to become strong in all of those areas. No one gets a pass when it comes to high needs campuses. Okay. If you agree, give me another thumbs up. No one gets a pass when it comes to high needs campuses. You have to be good in your craft. You have to be excellent in your craft, and you have to spend your time becoming excellent in your craft. Lucky for us, we get new clientele every year. So we have opportunities every year to get better. But our children's success depend on your willingness to become an expert of your craft. Okay. So I'm not going to be able, I'm trying to walk through with you every month. We're going through some of the things that you need to have done. In the month of April, we talked about the instructional leader's calendar, right? The month of April is the new year for an instructional leader. We talked about that last time. Okay. So on these webinars or these little sessions that I have with you. And they're going to be quick, okay? Because I just want to give you the information and then you be able to go and apply it, okay? So I'm not going to be able to go through every single one of them with you. Maybe I will create something for you to be able to do so that I can do that with you. But for right now, I just want to get the word out about what needs to be done. So the month of April is the month of planning. That's the month that we are collecting data and we're disaggregating data, which leads us into today. Last time I told you that you needed to get some data. I gave you 4 questions that you need to use in order to collect data for your teachers. I talked about how most instructional leaders, they build their instructional programs only on student data. And that's why we have so many issues, right? We have issues because you cannot run a building. You cannot build a program. You cannot build and apply the instructional strategies needed solely on student data. You have to include both teacher data and student data. And that teacher data is going to be largely qualitative, okay? Largely qualitative. Okay, so the 4 questions that I gave you, I see Miriam is back. Miriam, can you do me a favor and type in the 4 questions that I gave you last week? And if you can't remember them, just let me know and I'll post them. Okay, but the 4 questions that I gave you last week, I'm asking Miriam to put them in the chat for us. And I'm going to wait for you. Don't let me down, Miriam. I'm depending on you today. While she's doing that, I have 2 new people here today. I know I have Mr. Balan is on here today. Mr. Balan, where are you from? Oh, Miriam. Miriam, no sweat. Mr. Balan, where are you from? And then I have another attendee on here. I don't have your name, but I'd love to know your name. Okay. So, Miriam, no sweat, my pet. I have your back. Okay. We're going to keep it moving today. Okay. So, the 4 questions that I talked about last week that I gave you were 1, what are your strengths? These are questions that you should ask your teachers, every single one of them. Now, when I was a school administrator, I asked every single person in my building because it was important for me to understand each person that I was working with. I knew I was responsible for putting people in the right place. Well, you can't lead people that you don't know, and you'll never know people that you don't ask questions to, right? If you don't ask them questions. So these were my empathy questions that I use. Now, you can use any empathy question that you feel like would help you build a better program. It doesn't have to be these 4. But last week I told you, if you did not have any, to use these 4 questions. 1, what are your strengths? 2, what are your areas of growth? Look at these stupid balloons. 3, what are some things our school or organization does? What do we do well? What are some things we do well? And then 4, if you were leader for a day, what would you change? Okay, if you were principal for a day, what would you change? Or if you were superintendent for a day, what would you change, depending on your capacity of leadership at this current time? Okay, those were the 4 questions. Now, today, what you were supposed to do was you were supposed to take those questions and ask every single teacher that you'll be preparing that instructional program for. So an instructional program is the sequence of events that will take place in order for us to get that student achievement, right? We have to build that. It has to be comfortable for the student, and it has to be comfortable for the teacher to be able to carry it out. The teachers are the ones that are doing the work. So you have to make sure, as the engineer, as the architect of this plan, that you have enough information. Oh, hey, Danielle, that you have enough information to build your program. Okay. All right. Our objectives for today, we are going to, I want you to understand the power of empathy questions, because many people overlook this skill or this strategy, right? Because they feel like, oh, I don't have time. I don't have time to do all that. I'm just going to put it together and blah, blah, blah. And then every year they complain that they're tired. Every year they complain, I didn't get a chance to get to all my tasks, or I couldn't get to all the classrooms. It was way too busy. Blah, blah, blah. The list goes on and on and on. But these things are a result of a lack of planning, right? And I can say that because I did it and I did it well, right? So these is a lack of planning, but I'm trying to give you shortcuts so you'll know how to do it and do it well. We're going to review and reflect on 4 empathy questions, and we're going to largely deal with how to analyze the answers, what when you get those answers. Absolutely, Miriam. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. I'm sharing it with you right now. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to do. Now you can take your time and read that when you get a chance, but all right. So you're going to know how to analyze these by the end. So why are we doing empathy questions? Like, what's the big deal about empathy questions? Well, the big deal resides in, you want to build trust and rapport with the people that you are working with. You will move as quickly as they trust you. And that's the bottom line. Sometimes you can be the smartest person on campus. You can know your curriculum and you can know all of that forward and backwards. Okay. But if the people don't trust you to lead them, it's so hard to implement the program or the ideas that you have in mind. Right. So empathy questions help you with that, and it helps you to build it quickly. And that's what you need. You need to build it quickly. Okay. It helps you to identify the needs and challenges on your campus, right? Or in your district. You may use this for your district. I don't know. But it helps you to identify the needs and the challenges of the people that you're working with. Okay. It breaks down the barrier of miscommunication, because sometimes as leaders, we are just trying to get that student achievement at all costs. And we forget about the people that we're actually leading. And so everything is up here and it hasn't been communicated out of our mouths. And we just sometimes assume that the people who are following us understand because we've done it so many times, but it still has to be communicated. Right? So being able to sit down and ask these questions and get the answers helps you to break down the barrier of miscommunication. Okay. It promotes a supportive culture. The needs and the challenges that I'm able to identify when I ask these questions, more times than not, these are things, the problems that they say they have, more times than not, I have already seen. And in my mind, I was already going to create a program to support them in their areas of growth that I saw. But you need to know that it's important when you're working with adults for them to come to the conclusion that they need these things. Okay. It's so, so important. I don't know. I don't know if anybody is on here and you're married and you have your spouse, it's not always expedient to tell them what needs to be done, right? Sometimes you have to kind of wait it out. You have to ask the right questions and allow them to come to the realization of what you already knew. And these empathy questions, that's what they do. It allows the adults that are involved in this process to come to the conclusion of probably what you already know as an instructional leader needs to be done. And when I communicate it to them, I am learning their language. When they talk to me, I'm learning their language. I decode the information, but I say it in a way that they understand. I communicate it to them the way they told me. So if they're telling me, hey, I have trouble being able to provide instructional support to the different learners that are in my class, I know that means differentiated instruction. But at where they are right now, they may not know that. So when I communicate it, I am going to introduce the term to them. But when I communicate it initially, I'm going to say, many of you have spoken to me about having trouble providing support to the different learners that are in your class. Right then, I've already got them. I have them. They feel right then that I heard them, that I understood them, and that I'm supporting them. So it promotes a supportive culture. No one feels left out because they're going to hear themselves somewhere when I present where we're going in May. They're going to hear themselves somewhere in there. And that is going to make them feel comfortable and it's going to make them feel supported. Okay. It helps to facilitate professional growth and it helps to improve student outcomes. It does. It helps to improve student outcomes and it helps to improve those outcomes by providing that support. Teachers feel like they can learn, right? They have room to grow. So this is definitely important. I don't want you to overlook it. You can go check it out. Learning Forward, I think. Learning Forward, yeah. So Learning Forward has an article on it on empathy questions. So you can check it out there. And also Harvard Business Review, they have articles on this. So don't just take it and put it to the side and it's like, I don't have time to do it. No, I'm telling you, if you go slow now, you'll be able to go fast later. Okay. Now, out of the 4 questions that I asked, I'm going to tell you those questions again. Actually, you should be able to see them. Let's see. Let me see if I can make this bigger for you. Okay. Here are the empathy questions. Take a look at those 4 questions, and I want you to tell me which of the 4 questions you mostly resonate with. Like, which question are you excited to ask about? Which question do you feel will definitely help you in creating the framework, the forward framework for what the work that you're going to do next year? Okay. Which question? Question number 1, and you don't have to type it in. Just type in 1, 2, 3, or 4. Okay. Which question? So question number 1 is, what are your strengths? Question number 2, what are your areas of growth? Question number 3, what do you do well as a school or organization? Question number 4, if you were leader for a day, what would you change? I see Danielle is saying question number 2. Very good. Danielle, if you have time to tell me why, I'd love to hear why that question resonates with you. While you guys are putting your numbers in, I'm going to go through why I asked these questions. Okay. So question number 1, what are your strengths? That question is for, I want you to see that question as being for you, the instructional leader. I see you, Loretta Mack. She said number 2. I want you to know question number 1 is for you. I hear all the time that leaders are tired. There's not enough time in a day. I wish I had help on campus. I don't know who is able to do what. But question number 1, Miriam, you're riding with me, Miriam. Question number 4, I love to. Okay. Question number 1, though, is so that we can figure out how we can have help on this campus. If I have a group of teachers that are good with classroom management, do you think I'm going to spend my time doing or facilitating all these trainings on classroom management? I am not. I am going to get with them and see if they can do it. Okay. If I have someone who's very good with logistics, organization, structure, and I'm putting together something that is going to support culture on my campus, do you think I'm going to spend all my time by myself doing this work? No. And if we're honest, no one wants to spend their time by themselves doing this work, but it's just so much easier to just do it by yourself. It's quicker, but it's not healthier. Okay. So I want you to see question number 1 as being for you. This is so you can figure out what's on your campus. Okay. And then question 2, areas of growth. This is so that you can plan professional development. Think of question number 2 as your PD question. This is going to help, or your capacity question, right? So it's going to help you to be able to figure out what capacity do I have on campus? And this is the number 1 reason why your campus improvement plans and all of those things are why they're not, why you don't get finished with them. Or, excuse me, just a moment. I think I knocked my laptop thing out. So the number 1 reason why you don't get to finish your campus improvement plans, or a lot of the ideas you have, they just don't work out, or maybe you overestimate in the campus improvement plan. And I'm telling you, it is because you're creating a plan that is larger than the capacity of your teachers on that campus. I'm going to say it again. You are creating plans that are larger than the capacity of the teachers that are on your campus. So number 2 helps you to pinpoint what that is. And then you need to know, once you identify, like, what's the capacity of my teachers? Now you have, if you start now, you have all this time to build that capacity to where it needs to be, so that by the time school starts, you're ready. And if they're not ready on day 1, at least you've had all this time to create a plan to get them ready. See what I'm saying? So I need you to see that question as a capacity identifier. Number 3, what do we do well as an organization? This is a CYA question. Okay? This question covers you, and it helps you to see those things that are sacred to the people that you're leading. What's important to them? Are they saying teamwork? If they're saying that they work well as a team, then when you build intervention, when you implement your intervention ideas, why are you implementing intervention ideas where everybody's working alone? They just told you they like to work together. You see what I'm saying? So this helps you. Or if they are so in love with a particular part or area of the school building, why would you tear it down? They just told you they love that, So think of 3 as a CYA question, okay? And 4, now I'm with Miriam. This is my personal favorite, okay? If you were leader for a day, what would you change? So this question helps me to identify future leaders, right? And it helps me to be able to see what areas I can fix. Okay. What are some quick wins? That's what I'm looking for. Number 4 gives me quick wins. I can figure out what quick wins are on a campus from that. And I can also identify my future leaders from that question too, because when I asked them if they were leader for a day, what would they change? They don't just give me suggestions without also giving me a plan that they kind of thought of in their mind. Even if it's not finished yet, I can tell that they put some thought in it. And that's also a question that can help me figure out what help I have on campus, right? Okay. Now, when you're analyzing these questions, and I gotta hurry up because I want you to have time to do the exercise. But when you're analyzing the questions, because you don't want to be good at collecting data and not good at analyzing the data, right? So today you're going to analyze some data because I figured that maybe you wouldn't have any. So I put some together for you, and I'm going to let you analyze the data that I have. Okay. All right. So when you're looking to analyze the data, you're going to look for trends because this is qualitative data. If I gave you data that just had numbers, I know you would tear it all to pieces. But when it comes to qualitative data, sometimes it takes patience, right? And I'm going to tell you a quicker way to get it done when I go through this exercise. But number one, you want to find out what trends do you see. Number two, you want to determine if there are outliers, right? So when I say what trends, I mean, is everybody saying classroom management on there? What are they talking about all the time? What keeps coming up? And it may come up in a different expression, but it means the same thing. So those are trends. What outliers exist? So that means everybody's saying classroom management, but someone over here is saying, "Oh, I'm good at singing." Why? I don't know why they would say that, but that would be an outlier. Okay. And then number three, you have to decide, does it elevate? That means, does it promote what you're trying to do on that campus? Does it deviate? That means, does it hinder what you're trying to do on that campus? Does it take us in a different direction? Or does it stagnate, meaning it doesn't matter in either place, right? It just keeps us in one spot. It has no bearing on what we're doing. So does it elevate? Does it deviate? Does it stagnate? That's how you're going to analyze this data. And then when you're done, you're going to figure out, okay, how do I address it? If it elevates, meaning it promotes what we're doing on our campus, it's going to help us. I'm going to figure out how to use it to our advantage. If it hinders us, I'm going to figure out how to provide professional development or something so that they can get better at it, right? Does it matter either way? Is it neutral? Is it stagnant? Is it neutral? And if it is neutral, then we're throwing that out. It's not important. Okay. All right. Let me give you a link, okay, to a document that I want you to analyze. Okay. Okay. Go to this document. Let me know if you have any trouble getting to this document, because if you do, I'll just snapshot or something. Okay, if you're able to get in, give me a thumbs up. Okay, I see you. I see you. Okay, I want you to take maybe a minute or so. I just want you to look at column 1. Okay, if you have time to look at the other columns, that is fine too. But I really want you to look at column 1. I'm going to give you another document here that we're all going to write in. I think I made you all editors. Yes. Good. Okay. I want you, this is a document that we're going to be working in. Okay. As you analyze column 1, I want you to type your information in this document here. Okay. Let me know if you can't get it. Well, actually, I'll see you guys once I get there. Oh, good. Okay, you're in. So let me see. I want you to type in what trends do you see in column 1? You have your sample data. Start typing in what trends you see. And when you type in the trend that you see, I want you to put an X as to whether or not it elevates, deviates, stagnates. And then I want you to start telling me what your next step would be, maybe an idea that you have that how you would use the information to propel you forward. Or if it deviates, usually those are areas of growth, right? That might hinder us from getting that instructional program up and running like it's supposed to. I want you to write, how would you develop your teachers in order to help them? Okay. So just, that's all I want you to do. All right. You should be able to edit. I made sure you guys were editors. So look at your sample data in column 1. What are some trends that you see in column 1, guys? Yes, so just type in I see you, Danielle. So just type in the columns that you have. Sure. Yes, I can repeat the task. I want you to open up the sample data. That was the first link I gave you. And I want you to analyze. We talked about how to analyze the qualitative data that you collect, right? I want you to analyze column 1. I want you to identify trends. Do you see any trends? Do you see any outliers? What do you see? What are they saying over and over and over again? Okay. And then I want you to write that trend in column 1 where it says, what are the trends? I want you to write the trend that you see. Once you write that trend, I want you to decide, does it elevate? Does it support my instructional program? Does it take us away from the direction that I want us to go? Or does it keep us stagnant? Okay. You do not have access. You should. I see other people in here. Let's see. Okay. So, Danielle, you don't have access, but can you tell me what trends you see in the sample data? Can you see the sample data? Let me pull it up on here. Cool. Okay. Here is column 1. I think you can see it. Yeah. I don't know if you can see it because it's so small. Okay, good. Okay, you can see the sample data. I want you to type trends under the first column at the top where it says, what are the trends? Right up under there in that column. Type it in. We're analyzing column. Did I pull that column out? Give me just one moment. We're analyzing the column for question number 1. What are your strengths? Okay. Danielle, because of the time, you can just write it in this chat if you want to. Just tell me what you see. Okay, I see you. You said routines, management structure, relationships. Very good. Yes. What are the strengths, Miriam? You don't see trends. So you should see that there are quite a few of them talking about classroom management, which is what routines would fall under. Do you agree? I also see, yeah, Loretta, classroom management. That is a strength. Okay, very good. Yes. I also see, what else do you see? You can, guys, you can just write it in the chat because it's almost time for us to switch over for me to tell you what to do next week. And I don't want you to miss anything. Okay. Yes, classroom management and relationships. So does that elevate? Does that support our instructional program, like the direction that we're trying to go in next year? Is that going to support us? Is that going to hurt us? Or is it doesn't matter at all? Is it neutral? It doesn't matter. Which one, guys? Just put it in the chat. Elevate. Very good. It's going to elevate us. So then, since it's going to elevate us, now I have to think like, what are my next steps? What are my next steps with this? How can I use this to strengthen my building? What are some ways that I can use teachers that have a strength in classroom management? What are some ways that we can use them? What are some ways that we can use teachers that have strength in classroom management? I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait on you here. Tone and composure when speaking to children. I can think building wide, building wide, building wide. When I'm preparing my teachers and getting everybody ready for the new year, how can I use this strength? Modeling their management structures. Absolutely, Danielle. Yes, they can support other teachers. Right. And in turn, what does that helps us with retention, right? So I can use those teachers to support our new teachers who are coming in or new to the career, right? Or new to the building because they have great relationships. They know the children, so they can help people to become acclimated, establish systems and procedures. Exactly. Okay. So the moral of the story, don't skip over this information. It can help you out so much. So much. Okay. So I do want you to take the time to do that. If I had time, I would go over Dr. Anthony Muhammad's 4 characteristics of teachers that are in buildings. I'm going to have to create a platform so I can really go through with you on that. Next week, when we come back, I'm going to teach you how to position this information to create your framework, your structure, right? Because in May, when the sessions that I do in May are going to have to do with communicating your plan. So in April, you should be collecting data, disaggregating data for teachers and students, and then you create the framework, the foundation for the direction that you're going in, okay? A buddy system, I like that, Danielle. Absolutely, a buddy system, okay? So when you return, if you have not surveyed or used these questions yet with your teachers, I want you to do so and email me and let me know how it goes, right? So you can just set up maybe 10-minute meetings, maybe not. Well, I don't know if you'll have time for this testing this week everywhere, it seems like. So just maybe 10 minutes with each teacher. If you're on an instructional team, then everybody just interview the teachers that they've been assigned and then take all that information and just let it sit. Now, here's a quick way to do this. Now, we went through the long route. You don't have to sit here and read every single comment if you don't want to. Now, for me, I like reading them because it gives me insight. But, hey, technology works well, guys. So maybe next week I'll have time to show you. I don't have time today. But did you know that you can disaggregate data? So while you're spending all this time, because I used to get a glass of wine and my data, and I would sit down and read it. And the more data you have, the more specific you can be, and the better your plan will be, your campus improvement plan will be. But guys, do you know technology has made it so that you don't even have to do that anymore? Honey, if you have a Chat GPT account, a paid account, you can take this same, and maybe I thought I'd have time to do it today and I didn't. So next week I'll show you. You can take this same spreadsheet and upload it to Chat GPT, and it will give you a summary of this data. It's about the prompt that you give it. You can tell it, identify the trends in this data, and it will tell you all the trends in the data, and it only take a few minutes, a few seconds. I'll show you next week, okay? I won't have time today. So before I leave, because it's 10:42 and I like to be true to my word. But before we go, I want you to type in the chat one thing that you learned today that you're taking with you when you go. One thing you learned today that you're taking with you when you go. And while you're doing that, I'm going to tell you about next week. One thing, I just want you to type in one thing that you learned today that you're taking with you. Okay? One thing that you learned today that you're taking with you. Next week, I'm going to show you how you can take your data and not spend 11,000 hours trying to disaggregate it. You don't have to. You can take qualitative data, you can take quantitative data, and you can upload it to ChatGPT for real. And you don't even have to do all that. I'll show you next week. Yes, you do need, I'm glad. Yes, you do need to survey your teachers to prepare for your programs. Yes, they are informative when planning for the next school year. I'm telling you, I used to have such a hard time because I was the C&I person only, right? And so I had to become strong in the area of culture and the area of operations, right? And these questions really help me to be able to connect more with the people that I'm leading. It really, I'm telling you, it will redefine the way that you lead. You'll lead with more knowledge. So I'm so glad that you're taking that with you. Next week, again, I'm going to show you how you can disaggregate data quickly, right? And I'm also going to show you how to compartmentalize this information to build your framework. Because in May, yes, absolutely. Because in May, we're going to talk about communicating your plan, right? So you need to have this plan done. It needs to be done in April. Not perfect, done. Not perfect, done. Because you need to be able to share it with the people who are working with you so that they can help you fine tune and tweak and get prepared. We got to talk to parents. There's a lot that has to be done in May. So you have to disaggregate this data. So I'm glad that you learned the importance of including everyone's voice, Loretta. And you can also use empathy questions with your students. I used to survey kids, teachers, bus drivers, maintenance workers, any PTAs. I surveyed every single person that was breathing on my campus. And I use that information to create incredible cultures, okay? And to experience incredible results. So I'm glad that you were able to do that, that you learned that. I'm going to stay on for a few more minutes just in case anyone has any questions. Outside of that, I will see you next week. I'll see you next week, next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time. Okay. Thank you for tuning in to the Instructional Leadership Accelerator, and bring your team next week. Okay. Bring your team next week. Are there any questions? You're welcome, Miriam. You're welcome, Alton. You're welcome, Loretta. Thank you for tuning in. You're welcome, Lulia. You're welcome, Danielle. Okay, I see I have a few more people on. Do you have any questions? Give me a thumbs up if you have a question so that I'll know to wait for you. Okay, guys, I'm going to hop off, and it's certainly been a pleasure. And I'll see you next Tuesday. Okay. Have a great day. Bye.